I learned that there was this light in me that I guess over time we forget is there.
Mm,
But we all knew it was there at one point.
yeah.
Because when we came into this universe, we were smiling, life was great, everything was beautiful, nothing was impossible.
Hello and welcome to the next episode of The Wealth Within Us. Today I have with me Judy Wong, and she is an energy accelerator and transformation coach for those of us that are at the peak of our lives. Judy, thank you so much for coming on. We talked the other day, and I love what you're doing. And I feel like you are serving an audience that not many people are. So how did you get into this work?
Well, actually, I really am way over 60. Nobody believes it.
I know,
But I
because you don't
promise
look it
you
at all.
that Dorian Gray painting, for those of you who know who Dorian Gray is, the Dorian Gray painting's in the closet. Now I know I don't look my age. Neither does my husband, which is kind of weird because we both, when we met, we thought we were each 40-year-old
Mm.
kids. Boy, were
There's
we
nothing wrong
shocked.
with that.
Were we shocked to find out we were both senior citizens?
Hey, at least you were both, so you were on the same page.
So how did I get going? I've been an educator for over 50 years. I'm an international educator as well. And I was rapidly approaching my 60s.
Mm.
And for the first time in my life, I had done a major flip in my life. Everybody always, when they meet me, they're like, "Oh, Judy Show got it together. She's got that 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 fountain of youth thing going." And it wasn't always like that. It
No,
really
it's
wasn't.
amazing how we can put on a front sometimes.
Yeah, but you know, most of my life, to be honest, I spent trying to walk away from this life,
Mm,
and it wasn't a good thing.
no.
And I was in my late 50s, and I was facing being a single mom, and having to put 3 kids through college because I had them very late, so I could keep lying about how old I am. Because us ladies, we don't want to tell anybody.
No, we don't know.
And but it was scary. It was scary. And if I had a choice, I would have walked off back then. But I realized I had 3 boys who had nobody left but me. And if
Yeah.
I did that, it just wouldn't work, right?
No.
So I embarked on this journey to save my own life. And really, I didn't look so cool back then either. Um, but I learned that there was this light in me that I guess over time we forget is there.
Mm,
But we all knew it was there at one point.
yeah.
Because when we came into this universe, we were smiling, life was great, everything was beautiful, nothing was impossible.
No. And we can all still connect to that light too.
Yeah. And life happened.
It
And when
does.
you live as long as I do, good Lord, there's a lot of shit that happened. And I guess over time it got buried alive.
Mm,
And about 15 years ago, when I finally kicked in and realized, ooh, it's still there.
mm. Getting the
And
cobwebs out.
right, cleaning the bad stories out, the bad
Hmm.
labels. And I saved my own life. And for the first time in my life, in over 50 something years, I wanted to be alive.
Mm.
I was excited about being alive. I wanted to have a life. I was really thrilled about the next new day. That was something new for me. I haven't felt like that since I was a little kid.
So
And
it
here I
really
was.
woke something inside of you.
Yeah, I did. I found that light, and I
Mm.
realized that light was still there. And it was the one damn thing that had been keeping me alive all these years through all the ups and downs of life, all the traumas and dramas.
Yeah.
And
Ugh.
believe me, I've had a lot of them.
I know
And
sometimes we do. We wonder what does keep us going, and then
right,
you just
right.
said we all have to connect to that light because that
It
is
was
what keeps us going.
it was the one thing And it was almost like when I saw it again, it was like talking to me like, you idiot, I've been watching you all this time and you just have not listened.
Yeah, finally,
Okay,
you
I'm
found me
listening.
again.
I'm here. So yeah, so here I was turning 60. I was very excited. I was really happy about being alive. I was so thrilled. I had this great international educational career going on. I was traveling. I was having such a brilliant, wonderful life. I had met this person totally by accident who just for the first time was actually the right person.
Mm.
And it was so right that we figured we must have met a long time ago and we still haven't figured out where. But
Yeah,
the,
so interesting. That's
I
fun.
was, yeah, it's like, when you see an old friend you haven't seen in a long time,
Yeah.
just know it, right?
Yeah.
That's
Or it's
what
like
this
maybe you never met and you're just like connected on some other plane and you finally just connected here.
exactly. And that was the wild thing about it because we went through our timeline and found out that we actually had parallel timelines to
Pretty
the point that we were in the same place at the same time. But the
meant
universe
to be.
said you weren't ready and he wasn't ready because he went through similar dramas and traumas and journeys that I did. And I guess the universe said you weren't ready and he wasn't ready. And it just so happened that at that point in time was when I was ready to open my eyes and see what the world was going to throw at me and enjoy it and love it and be so excited. And here I was getting married at 60 and starting a whole new amazing life. And I was so thrilled. And all of a sudden, the only thing anybody wanted to talk to me about was how am I going to deal with my one foot in the grave?
Mm.
And I went, wait a minute, hold on here. What are you talking about, my limited income? Am I dead? Can I not make money anymore? And
Hmm.
what are you talking about? I got to get my grave plot in order and my will. What am I dead? I'm not dying. Do I look like I'm dying? I'm not dying, you know?
Like
And
I just started living. What are you talking about?
going out. Are you kidding me? I'm at the beginning, not the end. Why are you talking to me like I'm at the end? And it's like, what's going on here? You know? And and I looked around and I realized all of my friends and colleagues were going through the same thing.
Mm.
And I was watching them slowly imploding. So I was an international educator, English educational speaker. And I was slowly changing my talks from strictly pedagogy to pedagogy wellness
Mm.
because I saw my friends and colleagues, they needed something more
Yeah,
and
they
they
need
didn't
to find
understand
their
what.
light.
Right. And I was like, why are we all acting like we're dying? Why are we all walking around like our bodies are supposed to fall apart? Does my body look like it's about to fall apart? I'm like, what's going on here? And they were coming to me and they were asking me, how is it that you just got younger in the last 20 years? Are you on Benjamin Button thing or something? You know, I was like, no, no. I just decided I wanted to live. And I realized nobody was telling anybody that we were supposed to be living. They
Mm.
were telling us we have a short time of life left. Well, that scares the crap out of anybody, right? A
Right.
short time of life left. Now, hell's bells. I used to be a math teacher too. So I did the math. I'm like, okay, let's see. Our lifespan in this century has almost doubled for my generation, more than any other millennia.
Yeah.
So our lifespan is really to 100 if we
At
choose,
least.
at least, at least to 100, not to 60, not to 80, to 100, right? And if we choose, we can be there. And I thought about that. I'm going, okay, 100, I'm the mathematician. Let's think 100, 60, 100. That's 40 more years to go. Hell, the careers were only 20.
Yeah.
Like Why
That's
are they
two
telling me I got a
careers.
short life left? And I thought, oh, these people are crazy. This is insane. Well, why are everybody going around talking about short life and our body's supposed to fall apart when we hit 80 and 70? And I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. Let me think about this. Now, some people who know me know I've had more careers in my lifetime than most people have in their families. And one of them was, yes, I worked on Madison Avenue. I was an advertising person. So I know you tell somebody enough times, they
Mm,
start to believe it. And I realized that was what was going on.
yeah.
All these people were being told, you're old. You're
Yeah.
old. Oh, you're 60 now. You're 65. You're turning 70. You're old.
And then so our
How many
society then
doctors do
propagates.
you have,
Yeah.
right? How many
hmm
doctors do you have?
Yeah.
How many problems are in your
Yeah.
body? Really? Really?
You need to take this. You need to
You,
take that.
you need all this health stuff and this stuff. And
Mhm.
I gotta admit, when I turned 60 and everybody told me I was supposed to have one foot in the death door, I started going, oh my God, are they really for sure? And I started buying all these health things and this business in a box thing and this thing and this thing. And I realized none of this shit worked. And I thought, oh God, there's got to be something better than this. And then I remembered, how did I save my own life? My
Mm,
light. So let me see if light can tell me what I need to know better.
mm,
And I did. And I started asking it. And I started saying, where? Where? And it kept saying to me, what are you, crazy? You're not dead. You're not walking towards death's door. And you were here. I told you a long time ago. The reason you were never allowed to walk from this world is because you were here. Your life is what's important.
mm,
Living is what's important. And it's high time you tell people that. So I decided a bunch of years ago that I would start telling people that no, stop. You know, I used to be a teacher. I do science. I used to be a science teacher. Death happens, right? Death happens. You could have died the next day when you were 20. You
mhm.
could have died the next day when you were 30.
Yeah.
But you didn't live your life for your death. You
Mm,
lived your life for your life. So why are you any different now?
mm,
It didn't make sense. Live your life for your living. Death happens. You don't know when that's going to be. If you asked us when I was a little girl, we would have said yes, 70, 80,
mm.
because that's what our parents' generation was.
Yeah.
But I'm not my parent.
Mm-mm.
And as my children, the biomedical engineer says, there's something called science and evolution. And, they're right. They're right. If we keep living with the old paradigm, yeah, we're going to die young.
Yeah.
But why should we?
hmm
Why should we? We can go to 100 if we choose,
Oh, and why
but
should
we
we
have
have
to make
other
the
people
choice.
telling us how long we have to live?
Right. Right. So why not? Why not? Why don't we see what was going on? So I started helping these different friends of mine who thought I had this fountain of youth. And I said, no, let's do some things. Because one of the other things I learned when I was 30 was that this weird thing about me, which I thought was a curse, was not really a curse. It
Mm,
was a gift from my grandmother that I didn't know. I didn't know my grandmother at all, my mother's mother,
mhm.
because she was long gone shortly after I was born. The only thing I knew about her is that my mother viciously hated her as much as she viciously hated me. That's literally all I knew about her.
My gosh.
And then I was in my 30s and my mother was telling me, and through one of her crazy rants,
Hmm?
about my grandmother. And for the first time, I realized my grandmother was a clairvoyant.
Oh.
And maybe that's why I was so odd growing up. And it was something about me that I used to hide because when I was very small, I said something to a grown up, and the grown up said, "Shut up. You don't want to hear about your invisible friends, or you shouldn't be talking like that anyway."
Mm.
I never told anybody again. But I grew up seeing things, seeing people when they cross over, having conversations with them, which I thought was really strange. But, I figured it was something odd, my invisible friends. Except these invisible friends actually existed at one time.
Yeah.
I would see things that were happening in real time, you know. And when I had to save my own life, that was what I tapped into,
Mm.
was my energy and the gift. And I realized it was a gift, not a curse. The gift of healing using this energy because I was able to tap into it,
Yeah.
tap into this ability that I had of being able to see where no people can see. And that's what I started doing for my friends and colleagues. I would help them see the places they forgot or they didn't see anymore. And I would help heal their energy and take their energy because when you're thinking, oh, I have just a little time left, and you're
Mm.
thinking about death's door, your energy is like vibrating all the way down here.
Yeah. Yes.
And I realized when I was able to help them tap into that light again, just like I did,
Mm-hmm.
the energy started to grow.
Yes. And our vibrations started to
And
rise.
it was outrageous. It was outrageous. It's kind of high to me because I would see like their cocoon would crack open and they'd be like, whoa, I didn't know I could do that and blah, 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 blah. And I was like, yeah, I'm literally getting excited too because that's what happened to me.
Yeah.
Me, when I thought it was the end again and I couldn't take another step forward ever again. That's what happened to me.
And it's so amazing because when we have those experiences, it's like the first thing we want to do is share them with everybody else. Like, hey, like I feel amazing, and I want everybody else around me to feel amazing too.
Yes, yes. And that's the exciting part.
Yeah.
But then what I realized is the reason they were having problems is the same reason I had a problem the first time around was because when I went, yeah, I'm here, I'm alive, this is really cool, I love living, this is great.
Life is great.
All of a sudden, everybody kept telling me, well, you know, you are kind of old. You should slow down. You can't think like that. You can't want to do those things anymore. You should be doing quieter, slower things. And I thought, what are you crazy? I'm just getting started. And that's when I realized, no, 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 no. Nobody's telling us that we can. They're
Yeah.
telling us how to open the light. There's a lot of healers out there. They're all telling us how to open our light, how to get healed. But then that's nice because when we're healed, now what? Now all they want to tell us is about, well, how you going to deal with your bucket list? A bucket list? Really? Am I dying? And that's all they want to tell us about. Oh, what's on your bucket list? Like, can I have a life list instead? I mean, I
Mhm.
remember when I was younger,
Love
I
that. A
had a
life
life
thing.
list, right? We
Yeah.
all had life lists, a million things we were going to do in our life.
Yeah. And it could just keep, the life list could just keep growing.
Exactly. Why can't I keep having my life list?
Yeah,
What's
because
wrong
as
with it?
we go through this life, we have experiences, and then we're
Yes.
like, oh,
And now
I want to try this, and I want to try that.
more than ever, what I found was not only can I still have my life list, to heck with what everybody else says I have to have. I want my life list. Screw the bucket list, you know? But the really cool thing about it, and this is the wisdom of age, which I thought was really awesome. I have a shitload more of skills and abilities and knowledge that I can draw on to have an even bigger life list of cool ass things to do.
Gosh, yeah. Yeah,
And I'm like, so why is everybody making like we got nothing left?
I know.
If anything, we got more.
And we're coming at it from a place of wisdom and experience. So,
Right,
oh,
right. I mean, think about it. You know, when you were making life lists at 20, how limited
yeah.
you are.
And those lists change. My life list in my 20s was like, having kids and all this other stuff. Let me tell you, that is not on my life list right now. My kids are 22 and I love
You know,
them to death,
when you
but I
think
don't want
about
any more.
when you think about what your life lists are, right?
Yeah.
I mean, the life list, the more you learn, the more
Mhm.
you do, the life list gets more awesome
Yeah.
because you can. Because you can. And that's the coolest part is
Yeah.
you can.
The more
And
people
I'm
you bring
sorry.
in.
Somebody said, well, when you're 70, your whole body's supposed to be falling apart, and that's that. And I went, really? Really? Let me think about this. My husband, he's in his 70s, and the man bitches at me every day that he only ran around 10 miles for the day. I'm like, obviously, because you are disabled.
Yeah. Clearly you're falling apart.
Clearly, everything is dead.
Yeah, no.
People say, well, Jude, I've had this. They say, oh, I had dreams when I was younger and I want to do things, but I can't do them anymore because I'm over 70 or I'm over 80 and I can't do this. I'm over 90. I have a friend who became a cabaret singer when
Oh,
she was over 80,
that's amazing.
right? I have another friend who, when we were talking and complaining about how when we were kids, we wanted to be astronauts. Hell, we hadn't even figured out how to go to the moon yet, but we wanted to be astronauts. And girls were not allowed to do those things. We were
Oh,
allowed to cook
yeah.
and clean and sew. That was it. And I was like,
Changed.
you know? And we were talking about how we wanted to be astronauts. So, like, she's in her 70s, by the way, and she's going to be an astronaut because she managed to talk her way into getting one of those tickets to go up on the spaceship. And
Oh,
I was like, dang, dang, you know, is, guys could do that shit, but women, we were not allowed to do any of that stuff. And I was like, that just proves anything is possible. Just like when we were kids, right? When we
mhm.
were little, we wanted to be a fireman. We were a
Yeah.
fireman and we were totally a fireman.
Oh, yeah. We could just dream and we could be anything that we
That's
wanted.
right. And we made out like we were, right? We would talk to everybody.
Did, did.
you
But
know,
even back then, everybody was saying, oh, you can't do that. Or,
yeah, you can't do
no,
that.
yeah. So it
That's what the
does. It
world
starts
does. That's what the
early.
world does. But
Yeah.
the older you get, the more you realize you don't actually have to listen to all of that.
Mm-mm. I know. And I've heard of so many stories of people who've retired and they die like within their first year of retirement. And
Yeah,
thinking to yourself, like, what?
statistically, when they did all the longevity studies and they talked to all these people who are over 100, and believe me, they're getting way over, they're 122, they're 110. I mean, every time I turn around, they're getting older. So, to say to me, well, this is how it is, we die at about 80. And I'm like, you know what? When I was little and someone turned 100, the president called you up in the United States. That's how ridiculously rare it was, right? Nowadays, when friends and family go, oh, so and so just turned 100, 110, we're like, oh, that's nice. Like, yeah, they turned 20. Yeah, that's nice.
As
So
they should.
honestly, the truth is, you don't know. You don't know. So why are you living for it?
Yeah,
I mean, in 20 years, 120 might be normal and 140 might not be.
it
You
could.
don't know that.
No, and think of just even like when people turn 50, like I turned 50 last year, and it's like, oh my God. And I thought to myself, this what you're saying, I'm like, I haven't even lived half my life.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
but when we get into those thought patterns, then we are all creators, so we're creating our reality. So
exactly.
I'm creating, I haven't even lived half my life yet.
And the truth is, when they did these studies statistically, the ones who lived to 100 or more,
Hmm.
they didn't believe in bucket lists and they didn't buy into retirement. I thought that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
The other thing they didn't believe in is that they didn't live their life for their death.
Hmm.
The other caveat, though, which I thought was really interesting, was that the ones who did buy into retirement, even the ones who said, no, I love retirement. It's a very positive word for me. It's a high energy vibrating word. And I love high vibrating energy words. And retirement is a high vibrating. You know what? Those are the ones that don't make it.
Hmm.
And I thought that was pretty interesting because ultimately, and even when I've had clients come to me who have that,
Hmm.
retirement's a high vibrating word and it's a
Can't
high
wait.
vibrating great. Honestly, I have found as an energy healer, it is probably the lowest vibration word in existence.
Huh.
And when these people would come to me and they couldn't figure out why something would be off, and they're really off, and it was starting to bother them, and I couldn't say it was like a money abundance block of any kind, because God knows the money was being thrown at them left and right. I couldn't say it was their health because their health was totally fine. Ultimately, it was the word
Hmm. Huh.
because they decided, well, I'm retired. So I have to live on limited income. I have to think about my bucket list. I have to worry about my health because it's not going to last very well. And I thought, well, that's kind of silly.
Yeah, all those things that have been programmed into us.
Exactly. And I realize, especially for my generation, for us baby boomers, what were we taught? We were taught to be born, to
Hmm.
go to school, to have a life, go to have a family, not have a family, have a career, not have a career, retire and die. That's a
Yeah.
silly thing to think about.
Hmm.
And it's so untrue. It really is untrue. And then somebody said, well, Jude, you got a terminal disease. You can't do anything about that, which is true. I mean, I don't have anything against doctors. My husband's a doctor. But the truth is, the ones who buy into the doctor's death date die.
Yeah. And I would even go the step further that we can heal ourselves.
Right.
I think you're
The
buying into
ones,
the disease too.
the ones who did not buy in to the death date
Hmm?
outran it by years,
Yeah, I've
years
done
and
that so
years and
often.
years. And statistically, when they finally did cross over, for the most part, they made a choice.
Mm.
They made a choice. It wasn't a given. They made a choice for whatever reasons. They were tired of being beaten up by the medical profession. They were tired of the struggle. They were tired of whatever. They made a choice
Yeah.
and they gave up and stopped. When my father he had a terminal illness that was not curable by any means. Um, Not his fault. It was a rare neurological disorder. And he knew when the time came, it was going to come fast and take him down. But at the same time, he was literally watching, totally cognizant of watching himself turn into a physical vegetable,
Oh,
which was horrifying to him.
yeah.
But yet he persisted to persist because he wanted to live. So he persisted at trying his best to eat on his own, to move and stand on his own, even if it required assistance of a walker or something. He was
Mhm.
going to do it. And he fought and he continued to do that and was able to at least enjoy playing chess with his grandchildren. Even if he couldn't always move it totally, they helped him move it, but he could think and he could use. And
Yeah.
he was happy to do that.
Yeah. And I've read and heard too that even as like older or sick, like my mother has dementia, and it's like their soul is still intact inside
Yeah,
of them.
yeah.
It's almost
And
like what you said, their mind is given up.
yeah. And he did not finally make the choice to cross over till there were powers that be that refused to allow him to eat on his own. They actually interfered and stopped him, which made him frustrated because he continued to want to. His doctor told me he could if he wants to, but there were caregivers who refused to allow him.
Yeah.
And they made it impossible for him to even walk by taking away his walker.
Hmm.
And right then and there, he said, "That's it." And I knew because he made a choice
Yeah.
and he died shortly after.
Yeah. And
But
many people die shortly after even just going into a nursing home. Like
yep,
my great great
because they
grandma
make a
told me,
choice.
yeah. Well,
They
she
make a
make
choice.
the
I
choice.
don't want this. I
Well,
don't want this. I'm making
yeah.
a choice.
And
But it's a
sometimes, like you said,
choice.
people make choices for you. So if you're in a nursing home and it's not your choice, but you end up there, often you don't last very long because it's not where you want to be.
No,
And like you
no.
said, those choices were taken away from you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I realized we make choices. Like I made a choice to finally live. Because actually, I realized it was kind of fun and it was really cool. And I realized another thing was that all these careers and all these things I did over my life, when I was successful, when I was
Mhm.
most successful, was because I was really enjoying what I was doing.
Yeah.
And when it wasn't going right or things would go funny, it was because I really didn't want to do it.
Yeah.
So I realized we make a choice. Do you want to choose to live? Or do you really want to choose to walk towards your death?
Yeah.
We don't have to. We really don't have to. And just because everything in the social media and everything on the news and everything on the television and everything in the newspaper and everything in your snail mail and email is telling you you have a short time of life left. How are you going
Start
to
prepared
handle
now.
How are you going to handle your limited income? How are you going to live with just that limited income? How are you? I'm like, what kind of nonsense is that?
Hmm.
Just because I'm being told this,
Yeah.
I have to make it real. We can make anything real we tell ourselves. And if we buy into all of that nonsense, it can
Yeah.
become real, yes.
And
But if we don't, it doesn't.
yeah. And I think what's super interesting is that when you see these younger generations coming up, this is not their mentality at all. And it's like you said, you take your generation and you start there, and now you see these kids coming up. And I mean, what did they have? We were taught, you work hard, you stay at a company, you get a pension, a retirement. Those things are all gone. So it's like, I don't even think, I think we've almost gotten rid of the word retirement out of these younger generations. Even me, it's like retire. Who's going to
Yeah.
be a
But
retire?
it
There's
was so
no pension,
funny.
no nothing for me. So I think it's shifting quickly.
Well, you know what? I say things have to shift,
They do. They
you
do.
know,
And
and
you can
I
see
and
that
my
they are.
goal, my mission became I am going to evolve my generation out of
Yes.
this dark pit of old because this is
I love that.
bullshit.
I, I,
you
I
know,
do. I absolutely love that
I
because I
mean,
think
really, I mean,
it's
it's like,
important.
why? And excuse me. And the other caveat that I worked, which is part
Mhm.
of my energy healing thing is to raise their energy level because when they raise their energy level, we break down the other false story.
Mm.
Work
Yep.
equals no fun.
Mm-hmm.
Fun equals no work.
Or work equals survival.
Right. Or fun equals no money.
Mm-hmm.
Money equals work equals no fun. That's the biggest BS line I have ever heard of in my whole life. You know when I made the most money in my life, and I have built a number of six-figure businesses in my time. Literally, when I've had literally not even two nickels to rub together.
Mm.
I mean, because there was a time I was homeless, jobless, and $20,000 in somebody else's debt because they like to go shopping on my dime. So, you know what I realized? When I made the most money, I was having the most shitload of fun that I've ever had in my life.
Yes.
And when I wasn't making so much money, it was work.
Mm-hmm.
I was not having fun.
Yeah, such a good lesson.
And, which is why I go now and I taught my children this who are there in their 30s. I said, look, I don't care what you do with your life. And I love to see when young folk understand this.
Mm.
Do anything you want to do with your life. The big key is have fun.
Yeah, be happy.
Really have fun. Do it 300% and have a shitload of fun.
And
Because if you're not
energetically, that
having fun,
does raise your vibration. Just having fun
exactly.
and being
And it
happy and
attracts.
doing what you
It
do. Yeah.
attracts when you're vibrating like this. It's attracting all the
Yep.
abundance. You know that thing where, oh yeah, the money keeps flowing at me. I never realized years ago that that really meant because I was vibrating up here and this was like a great thing. And it was,
Yeah. Whereas I think
felt like,
most of us kind of go like this, like we get really happy and then we get sad and then we get happy. You know what I mean? Like
but that's
just the
normal,
things. But I
right?
think the shift is like so big where I think we just need to. It's almost like you want it like this, not like
I
this,
think,
like all over the place.
you know what I think the thing is, and somebody's out, there's this great TED talk about that us older folk, we get happier as we get older. And this woman who is this she did this she's like the head of longevity studies or whatever, something like that. Anyway, they were so desperately trying to prove that that was not true, that
Okay.
we were only happy because we got stupid or demented or whatever, but they couldn't prove that.
That doesn't even make sense.
Truth is that the older you get, the more ups and downs you've had in your life,
Yeah.
and you realize the ups and downs are not so drastic.
Hmm.
So when the downs start happening, you're like, another down, no biggie. We'll
Yeah.
roll with it, roll right back up because we
I
know
always
we're
get
coming right
through
back up.
it.
You know, it's not the end of the world. It's not, which is why I always say, have fun, do something. If you have a life list, make life lists, not stupid bucket lists. Make life lists.
Yeah.
Because if you're making a life list and you're saying, oh, I'm going to do this, this is really going to be fun. I'm going to do this, this is really going to be cool. So what? Big deal. If you try it and you do it 300% and it doesn't turn out to be everything your imagination thought it was, so what? No biggie.
Yeah. On to the
Throw it
next.
out, move on to the next life list. There's a life list. You got a life list. There's a million things you could put on it.
And some of those experiences draw on other things to put on
Yeah. And ultimately, it just makes the next one even more outrageous,
it. Hmm.
or the next one even more outrageous. So it's like, so what? You know, it's not that we got happier, it's that we realized the downs were not so devastating
Yeah.
because, you know, life happens. I always teach people now because I realized a while back, I have three sons who were hardcore USA competition swimmers. They all became lifeguards. And I was a water baby myself, always hanging out in the oceans outside of New York, where I'm from. And I remembered one day I was sitting thinking about, oh, crashes. Here comes more crashes. And I realized, what are you talking about? When we talk about crashes, we think about, right, the waves, the
Hmm.
ocean, the wave is crashing to the ground. So we're crashing, and we think that's so devastating. But if you really think about it, when a wave is coming down, it's coming down to roll around, to renew and increase its energy level so that it could rise even higher.
Mm. Yeah.
And for the first time, I realized, wow, life is kind of like the waves, you know? We
Mhm.
roll down, we zip, and we come right back up again.
Yeah.
You listen to what the lifeguards tell you, and any water baby on the planet tells you, never fight the wave.
Yeah.
You fight the wave, you drown.
Yeah. And even if you're in a rip current, you go along the shoreline, not in towards it.
Right,
Because
right.
again,
You
you're
don't
fighting the
fight
current.
the wave.
Yeah.
And what
Or
do
the
we
current.
do?
Yeah.
What do we do when life starts rolling down? We're like, no, we
Oh,
can't do that. We
yeah.
can't, like, right? Don't we?
Yeah, we do. We
Think about
panic,
it.
put up all these blocks and
But think about it. If
yeah.
we just understand, it's not really devastating, which is what older people finally realize as we get the wisdom of age. It's not really devastating. And if you realize it's just rebooting or reigniting so that your light can blow up even higher and brighter and more beautiful,
Hmm.
then it's not so devastating that it's coming down for a rest. Because we
Yeah.
all need a rest at
Yeah.
some
Rest and recover.
point. You can't run a marathon and not stop at some point. You know, you need a rest break and then you can run the next marathon, right? And I realized, wow, life is like what the lifeguards
Yeah.
tell us. Stop fighting the wave. You fight the wave, you drown. If you
Yeah.
let the wave roll and you roll with the wave, you come back up breathing into a bigger, more brighter, more amazing life.
Yeah, I love that. Especially because I'm an ocean girl. So any
And you know, the funny thing is,
I love.
when I started thinking about all the dramas and traumas I've had with my life, and believe me, I've had a lot of them, I realized, you know what? That's true. Because every time when it came crashing down, when I finally stepped back and stopped fighting it, it all came blooming up even higher. And the next go round was always
Yeah.
more incredible and better and more outrageous than the last one.
Yeah. It proves that saying that what you resist persists.
Yeah, yeah. And we have it in us.
Yeah.
We have it in us. You know, somebody once told me a long time ago when I was the homeless, jobless, 20,000 debt person, they said, what are you fighting for? You're fighting for things. You know, people and places and life will take away things from you. That's always going to happen.
Hmm.
You'll get things, you'll get them taken away. Big deal. They're things. The one thing nothing, no one, no how could ever take away from you is you. That was the best advice I ever got in my life.
Yeah.
Because when the world started crashing again, when I was getting divorced from my kid's dad, I realized I still have me. And I know the me inside is awesome. I've
Yeah.
seen it do some awesome things, but
Yeah.
I'm still me.
Yeah. And it's
And
as
no one
simple
can
just
take
to
that
let
away.
go. Yeah.
And once I realized that, all the stresses and the, oh my God, what's going to happen? Oh, went away. And here's the really cool thing. When you let that light out and it starts exploding like it did for me,
Mhm.
your health improves. Your abundance starts flowing and you have no goddamn idea how it's doing it.
Yeah.
It's just, it's magical, you know? I mean, I used to hear people tell me about, oh yeah, your health can improve if you, I didn't believe them. But here's the funny
Yeah.
caveat. Last Christmas, when my kids all came home for the holidays,
Mhm.
my older son came home with a horrible cold that he brought back from his housemate. And everybody, of course, was starting to get it. And I thought, oh God, idiot. And I went into my medicine cabinet to see what I had to maybe, you know, stop it before it happens.
Yeah,
Right.
kick it out before it comes in.
Right. Right. Do you know everything in my medicine cabinet was over 10 years expired? And for the first time in my life, I realized I have not been sick at all
Yeah.
for over 10 years, which let me tell you something. For me, that's a major because I literally spent most of my life being horribly sick all the time. I used to average 7 to 8 major chronic illnesses a year.
Oof.
When I was a child, I had an ulcer at 16. I was told I had old age pains at 12. My doctor literally pulled me aside when I was 18 and said, if you don't do something about your health, I'm going to have to hospitalize you. I was always sick. And no matter how many nutrition programs I did, this thing I did, and that thing, and believe me, I was a smart kid. So I studied everything. I still was always sick. Always was sick.
Yeah.
Always had ulcer flare ups. Always sick. My kids used to make jokes growing up that I had a pharmacy in my bathroom and a pharmacy in our car because I was always sick.
Yeah. And it's amazing how much when you look back, you realize that it's all mindset.
Yeah. And I realized, oh my God, I haven't had an ulcer attack, flare up. I hadn't gotten sick. I didn't get a flu. I didn't get COVID. And believe me, I was very exposed to COVID. I didn't get sick. I mean, who knows? Maybe it
Yeah.
was the immune shot. I did have to take the immunization booster shots or whatever for COVID because I had to for my work. They wouldn't let me in my work. I was a professor. So unless I got shot. That was fine. I did it. No biggie. Um, was totally fine. No problems. Easy peasy, you know. Never got sick. No matter how many people with COVID hugged me, didn't get sick. My husband, who's a public service doctor, that meant he had to go to work every day. And he was exposed every day. He didn't get sick either. It was
Yeah.
really weird. Neither of us have been sick. He got sick once a few years back, a bunch of years back with a
Yeah.
major flu.
And you think about it like being sick or whatever, it's like that is a low vibration. So if you're really very often vibrating at these higher frequencies where you're happy and you're feeling love and you're living life, yeah, you just don't attract those things.
No. And it's like, you know, there's a difference between celebrating life and checking off your bucket list.
Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh no, I'm celebrating, I'm checking off my bucket list. Think about what you're telling yourself and
Hmm.
your mind and your body. I'm checking off my bucket list towards my death. That's what a bucket list is.
Yeah.
Somebody said, but I really want that money, for retirement. And I don't want to keep doing the job that I hate doing anymore. Or even I loved it, but I don't want to do it anymore. Okay, so you don't want to do it anymore. Don't do it. You got a life list. You got more things to do.
Hmm.
Go do them,
Yeah. No
you
one said
know?
that that life list could not make you money.
Right. Nobody says you can't have fun and make money at the same time. I
Yeah.
did it all my whole life. So like, there's no reason for not having fun and making money at the same time. Who
That.
cares, Like, and they're like, but I want that money. I said, what do you mean? Like, if I don't say I'm retired, I can't get that retirement money. I said, okay, so tell the company, whatever, that you're retiring from the company. You're retiring from the company. Take the money. Yes, I know it's a retirement money, but do you have to really go around saying you're retired?
Yeah.
I mean, like when I was young and a company went down or downsized or whatever, right? Put you out to pasture. They gave you this big ass severance pay to get you to leave.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anybody on the planet that would say no to that money. And we were like, yes, thank you very much. I want that severance money. But did we go around telling everybody, yes, I am severed now?
Yeah. Yeah, some
Think about
separate.
how negative that is.
Mm-hmm.
Think about how negative that is. And
Yeah.
I realize it's just that nobody's been telling my generation. And so like a couple of years while I was COVID hit, and like I said, I was working with individual colleagues and stuff. And COVID hit. And I saw so many people like me, productive, energetic, healthy, strong, living people lock themselves in their house, shut the door because they were told they were old, which was the dumbest thing to say. Because
Mm-hmm.
being old, you also have wisdom. And if you have wisdom, you knew the rules from when you were a kid. Because God knows every parent, mother, grandmother, great grandmother has told us this down to the generations. If it's a virus, it's a flu, you do what you're supposed to do, wash your hands, keep them to yourself, cover your face if you're sick, and stay the hell home when you're ill,
Yep.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Go out, get some air.
Get some sun.
Because if you're indoors, you will get sick because it's more concentrated.
Mm-hmm.
But what did we do? We said, oh, we're old, lock ourselves in our house
Yeah.
and not leave. And the worst part was, and this almost killed me, I watched more people or about as many losses. I experienced about as many losses as I did during the AIDS crisis.
Mm.
Because when those people finally came out, they came out in walkers, wheelchairs, or dead. The same people that were just like me,
Yeah.
healthy, vibrant, living a life, laughing, energetic, lively. That
I do
broke
feel it
my
is your
heart.
mission to help all of the people in your generation,
That
not
really
uh,
broke my heart.
yeah.
And my husband looked at me and he says, honey, maybe it's time you do something bigger.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when I made it a point. I said, that's it.
Yeah.
I don't care how many people want to tell me, shut up. I'm not shutting up. I'm going to do it till everybody understands we don't have to walk towards our death.
No.
We have the ability and the total energetic flow to live our life for living.
Yeah. It's already within us.
And if I'm going to talk myself to death to do that, I want to light everybody's candle. And
Yeah.
if I can light each and every one candle, how many more candles can they light? And how many more candles can they light?
Mm-hmm.
And how quickly can we evolve my generation from walking toward their death to walking towards the light of life?
Yeah. I love that. Well, now people want to work with you. I mean, how do people end up working with you? How do people get in touch with you? What does working with you look like?
Well, I do meet with people individually.
Mhm.
I do have a 5-week program coming up. Um, it is you have to kind of apply and be interviewed for it because it's a small group. I
Okay.
realized that for my generation, we don't like crowds.
Yeah.
Younger people love crowds. We don't like crowds anymore. It's nice. Crowds are cool, but not for us.
Yeah. Yeah.
But we do need the companionship because yes,
Mhm.
we are watching friends and family around us who are buying into having one foot in the grave, um, dropping like flies around us.
Yeah.
And so we need that companionship.
So do they
So
apply on your website?
they can apply on my website. There's a link to make an appointment to apply.
Perfect.
And it's a small, we try to keep it around 10 people.
Okay.
It's a
That's a good
5 week
amount.
program. It's a 5 week program where I will take you from the cocoon. And I like to call it the cocoon because, our light is inside the little chrysalis. And we've had a lot of crazy ass stories and bad labels and all kinds of other nonsense that people have told us or we've told ourselves. And it's sort of wrapped around us like the cocoon.
Yeah.
So I take us from the cocoon. We break open the cocoon. We let our light of life out. We make our life lists. And by the end of the 5 weeks, I guarantee it always happens. One thing on your life list will be made a reality
Uh,
with your butterfly wings flying, stepping off the mountainside, living, because it's about living. It's not about a fountain of youth, it's about a fountain of life. So
yeah.
turn up the spigot. Let's make that
I love
fountain
that.
flow.
Yeah. Well, you're
And
all over. Where else can people find you? So you have your website, which is what's your website? Give everybody your website because people
it's
need to find you.
I will, let's see, how can I do this? It's livingoutloudain'toveryet.com.
Okay. And we're gonna
And
have
it
everything in the description. So if you miss it, don't worry. Whatever
right.
platform you're watching it on, it'll be there.
I will give it to you in writing. And
Perfect.
yeah, and you
And you do some
can
work with Mind Valley.
I am a Mind Valley certified hypnotherapist and certified life coach. So you can find me if you happen to be on Mind Valley, you can find me there.
Yeah.
I'm one of the New York hosts. Um, I do run a circle every Tuesday at about noon Eastern
Okay.
time. It's called the Raise Your Fountain of Life Circle. And I can get you the link to the Telegram group if you want to join us
Okay. Is
there.
that live or is that
It's
virtual?
a live, well, it's a
Okay.
virtual. It's virtual
Okay.
because literally people come in from all over the globe
Love
for
that.
our little hangout session.
Yeah. And
And
just so
it's
people know, you are in New York City. So if you're in New
I
York
am in New York
City,
City.
look
Yeah.
her
If
up.
you are in New York City, we do have Mind Valley meetups. And I will give you the links to the meetup calendar there too. And yeah, you're welcome to join us in any Mind Valley meetup. And if you want to come in as a Mind Valley member, that's even cool too, because we have wonderful, wonderful programs to be with.
Oh,
You can work with me individually. I am talking all over the planet these days.
I love that. Well, to our audience here, what words of wisdom can you leave us with?
Stop making bucket lists, darlings. Make your life list. It's high time you live life for living. And you know what? Magic happens.
Mm. And we all want to experience the magic.
Yeah.
I appreciate so much of your time. I think what you're doing is incredible, and I think it's an audience most overlooked. And I'm so
Yeah.
glad that you are looking out for your generation.
It's my husband said, you got to do it for us. We need it. And I
Yeah.
realized we've never been invisible and we've never been quiet. So why are
No.
we allowing society to push us
Yeah.
into invisibility and to be quiet? That's silly.
Wait. So
If
true.
you've got 40, 50, maybe 60 years to go, that's
Hmm.
kind of nuts,
It's a long time.
And somebody said, well, I'll be decrepit. I said, really? There's a woman who turned, she's documented. She turned 122, and she's funny. I remember reading she stopped smoking at 116 only because her eyesight was starting to go, and she got pissed off. Somebody had to help her light her cigarette.
Oh, that's funny.
So don't tell me about being decrepit.
Oh, no. Well, keep that in mind, everybody. Make your life list. Go look up Judy. I know that she can help you, and you will definitely raise the vibration of our baby boomer generation.
We have to.
Yeah.
We have to. This world, you know, there's so many dark things going on in the world.
Yeah.
But
So we all need to shine our light.
if you understand, if we all got together,
Mm-hmm.
really, really got together and start vibrating our energy. That's why I like to say it, I'm an accelerator. I will make it accelerate. But, if we all start accelerating our vibration,
Yeah.
could you imagine what magic we can
Yeah.
bring into the world?
And we really do truly all have way more in common
Yeah.
than we think.
We're humans.
Mhm.
Yeah, really. I'm a science teacher. We're humans, guys. There's only one race that exists unless you started growing furry ears and furry, fuzzy tails.
Yes.
You're a human.
Yeah.
So start acting like a human.
And start living.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much again. And thank everybody for watching. Make sure that you get in the description and you get all that information and reach out to Judy. Thank you so much. I love you and what you are doing. Thank you.